Let me start with a few questions. Do you dread speaking in front of a group? Does your stomach get like fluttery? Do you like break out into a sweat? And do you really kind of freak out when it's time to deliver a presentation? How about if we could give you a few tips to be better in that situation so people would want to hear from you and you could grow your business and you could feel more comfortable on stage? If that sounds like a good thing and you say, yes, I want that, or you said, maybe, I guess. Either way, we've got you covered with tonight's Idea Collective Night School because we are featuring professional speaker Roger Wolkoff. He's here to teach you tonight as a part of our program. This is Idea Collective Night School inside the Idea Collective Small Business Incubator. It's presented by Bank 59 and Quick Trip. I'm the founder of the Idea Collective, Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Now, this brings together our community so we can learn from subject matter experts so we can get better at being a business owner. I don't know about you. I even went and got an MBA. I still feel like I knew nothing about running a business when I started my own small business. So tonight's show is to help you grow. Now, just because we're listening to someone on Zoom, like we're sitting in stage, like in a stage situation, that doesn't mean we don't like to pass notes back and forth to one another and giggle. So make sure you use the chat with your questions, comments, and sarcastic remarks. Our speaker today is a motivational speaker who has spoken before thousands of people about emotional intelligence and leadership. We're also going to look at how to address and overcome fears when it comes to public speaking. When he's not working, Roger can be found walking and biking around the great state of Wisconsin, traveling or binge watching superhero and science fiction movies. He's also the president of the Wisconsin chapter of the National Speakers Association. Please join me in welcoming from Madison, Wisconsin, baseball fanatic, pinball maniac, and Tesla car enthusiast, Roger Wolkoff. Roger, hello, my friend. How are you tonight?
I am good. Thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. We get to see you do your thing after being such a valuable member of the community. I know you've got a show ready for us. So with that, I'm going to step out of the way. We're ready to learn. Take it away, pal.
Oh, thanks, Pat. And thanks for that introduction. Hello, Idea Collective Small Business Incubator members and guests. Glad to have you here. Welcome to your night school. Right, tonight's program, it's going to be about how to be a better speaker. So welcome to my home, and thank you for letting me into yours. I did take my shoes off at the door, I promise, most definitely. Hi. So yeah, my name is Roger. I'm a recovering project manager for those who don't know, and I love to talk about emotional intelligence, as Pat said. I've been in recovery for nearly 4 years, currently on step 8. I do love to play pinball. My favorite game is Pinbot. If you don't know what pinball is, go out and Google it. It's fun. Baseball, yep, my favorite sport. I've always been a homer, which means I'm a huge fan of the local team. So in this case, the Milwaukee Brewers. I was a big advocate for no DH, but I lost that battle, and I guess it's in the National League. So, yeah, okay. And I'm a huge fan of Tesla cars, electric cars. Yeah, now the one you see on the screen, that's just not any car. That's a Model 3. Not just any Model 3, that's my Model 3. It just doesn't know it yet. So if we can get a little GoFundMe going, yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. I've enjoyed being on stage or in front of people for as long as I can remember, folks. I was the lead in elementary school plays. I acted in summer stock. I was in high school plays. And I delivered my high school commencement speech in front of 1,500 people. Now, every time I'm in front of an audience, I consistently think about what I can do to be better, to deliver value, and give people the content and the experience that they want and expect. I love that the chat is blowing up. Nowhere else does this happen. I love it. So tonight it's about you, not about me. How can you be a better speaker? How can you enhance your skills and think about speaking differently to supplement what you already do in your business, right? You're going to ask yourself, does it make sense to speak? And how do I elevate? How do I elevate my speaking game? That's why we're here. So where are we headed tonight? We're going to start by addressing your fear. Public speaking is one of the top fears we have, folks. Most people would rather be in the casket than delivering the eulogy. It's true. Next, we're going to decide what you're going to speak about, and we're going to stand in confidence with it. We're going to figure out your purpose or your reason for speaking. What's your why? And we're going to connect to your people, right? We're going to figure out how to get more business. What's your reason? Is it to educate, motivate? What is it? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my top ideas, my pro tip ideas about how to show up and give a great talk every time. All right, here's what I'd like to do. I want you to hold your hands out in front of you like you're going to clap. Yep, go ahead and clasp your hands together. before we get started, I just want to go through this little exercise. So go ahead and do that. Put your hands in front of you just like I'm doing. You got it? Okay, now if you're driving, please, dear God, don't do this. My liability insurance can't handle that. So if you're doing that, look down at your thumbs. If your left thumb is over your right thumb, you folks are all wrong. Yeah, I'm just messing with you. You guys are fine. So here's what I want you to do. Everybody's doing it correctly. What I want you to do is move your fingers and your thumb down one. Yeah, I know it's not comfortable. It feels awkward perhaps, right? It doesn't feel so good, does it? Yeah, okay, go ahead and move them back to the way they were. And that probably feels more comfortable. Now, the reason I do that is because I call that a CYA moment. We all know what CYA stands for, but not what you think in this case. It actually stands for challenge your assumptions. See, tonight I might be presenting some ideas or things that are outside of your comfort zone. So that's when your fingers are down in the place where you didn't, where they were awkward. So what I'd like you to do is connect to something that feels right or feels good. So when I present an idea that challenges you, connect it to something that is a little bit more comfortable, okay? All right. Oh, thanks for getting it right, Susie. Most people just put the other one. All right, everybody got your phone with you? I hope so. Go ahead and snap a picture, or not snap the picture, but use your camera to grab that QR code. We're going to do some interactive polling tonight. And we're going to start with the poll right away. So go ahead and use your camera, and you don't have to take the picture, just get it in focus, and it's going to say go to menti.com. And when it go, and then you're off and running with the first poll. You don't need to put in a code or anything. If the QR code is not working for you, or you're not comfortable using the QR code, you can go to menti.com on your browser, your phone's browser, or your computer browser, and you put in that code 2008-7025, and you'll get there the same way. So either the QR code or use the menti.com and the code there. Is anybody having trouble? I can't see you, so either come off of mute or type something in the chat for me to see.
Nothing in the chat so far, Roger.
Awesome. All right. Great, Alyssa. Got it. Oh, people are loving this. That's great. Now, JB said, oh, okay. This is so hot. I got to read better. Okay, here we go. First poll. Here it comes up for you. Go ahead and answer and make sure you hit submit. So just to warm us up, would you rather be the funniest person in a room or the smartest person in a room? Which would you rather be, funniest person in the room or the smartest person in the room? Go ahead and vote and make sure you hit submit. And it looks like just about everybody has. All right. So we got 7 people who are ready to be the funniest. We're going to be in the same room together, by the way. And smartest, we got 5 people, which is great. Now, there is an argument to be made, right? There's a whole lot of intellect involved in funny. So maybe you could be the smartest and the funniest. I know you can't select both, but yeah, thanks for playing. So we got 7 people and 5 people for that. Awesome. Next one. I shared a little bit about me. Right now, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. If you could, please, go ahead and share a nickname that you currently go by or that you used to go by. Go ahead and put that in there. And the reason I'm asking you here is because what's really neat whenever we speak, it's great to make connections in the room. And what better way to make connections than using people's names, right? And I'm not saying that you go and get everybody's nickname, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do this little exercise and figure out. So we got, let's see, I'm looking at Chicken Man. I got to look around my screen. We got Mooney, Professor, Chicken Man, Dusty. Yeah, some fun ones are coming up here. Flipper, Ferd, Miki or Mia. Yeah, it's kind of fun to figure out who they are. We got Helpful Hannah or Banana. I love it. Oh my gosh, these are really great. Now, what's really fun is when we get in a room, you try to figure out who they are. Some of you I can guess, but yeah, this is kind of fun. So thanks for connecting with me that way. And I cannot look at the chat, not with this group. I guess I have to keep up. Okay, so for this poll, here's the deal. You can choose as many as you want. You don't have to choose just one. I'd like to know if you're here to learn how to address your fear, decide what to speak about, find your purpose in speaking, or get better at speaking. Again, you can choose more than one. And pretty much most of the time when I do this, it's showing up pretty much as it is now, right? People are here to get better at speaking, right? Some of you have a fear. I get that. Thank you. Some of you want to decide what you speak about and also what your purpose is. But yeah, we're all here to learn a little more, most definitely. Okay. Thanks for doing that. Okay. So let's first talk about the fear. We're going to talk about the fear first. Little funny here, right? Of course, you're allowed to have stage fright as soon as your talk is over. Anybody ever felt like that? Huh? Oh, yeah. Some of us do have that feeling. So let's look at what happens when we talk about these fears. So one essential step to speaking or getting at speaking is to decide how you feel about your fear of speaking. Now, what are some of the most common fears? Do I have enough content? What if I run out of time? Will people find value in what I have to say? Will I embarrass myself? Or maybe you have that voice in your head that says, right, who am I to talk about this? And will I look foolish, right? There are many other reasons that we have, many other fears. But one of the biggest ones, and I'm going to talk about how to address these fears in a minute. But first, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to rate yourself on a scale. We have some sliders here on the poll. On the right is strongly agree. On the left is strongly disagree. So use the slider to point in the direction that you feel most describes you. Right? I'm afraid to speak in public. Strongly agree. Strongly disagree. I'm comfortable speaking in front of people when I need to. Give me a mic and I'm ready to go at any time. Right? Where are you on this scale? There's no right or wrong way. This is just a neat little self-awareness for yourself. Where do you land on the comfort scale when it comes to speaking? I happen to be one of the rare birds who is like, fine, give me a mic and I'm ready to go. It's never been a fear for me. And I know that's true with some of the other people in the group, but there are also people here tonight who are just deathly afraid. So you can see the graph coming out there. We have people all over the place, but a lot of people are, I'm afraid to speak in public, leaning towards the strongly disagree. Comfortable speaking in front of people when I need to. Yeah, 3.7-ish. Most of you are comfortable. And looks like folks are in the middle when it says, give me a mic and I'm ready to go. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, with alcohol, anything is possible. Love you guys. All right. So generally speaking, 10% of us love it. 10% of us are fine to get up and speak. 10% of us are terrified of it. And that leaves the other 80% of us in between. And it's okay to be in any one of these areas. So what I get asked a fair amount is, Roger, do you experience fear before you take the stage? And honestly, a little bit. And a little bit is healthy. Right? Just a little bit of twinge. I'm in a new environment. Maybe it's a new group. Maybe it's something new that I haven't tried before. I still get a little antsy, a little anxiety before I take the stage, but it's not crippling. For some people, it's crippling. Now, if you want to ask me about my fear of heights, that's crippling. And I know that's what it feels like for people to get up in front of others and speak. But for me, not so much. However, we want to make fear our friend. And I'm going to give you a few ways to make fear your friend. So one of the things we want to talk about tonight is, how do I break through that fear, or how do I address it in some way? How can I get through that fear or address it? And the first thing I'll tell you, and I picked this up from a lot of the people in this group, we want to be curious about the fear, right? What can you do with it? How do I examine it? What is it that's causing me the fear? Is it preparation? Is it talk? What is it that is the true fear or barrier that I need to overcome? And what are some ways that I could be curious about the fear and turn it into positive energy and get excited with the fear? What are some possibilities? And I'm going to go through a few of them now. Here's one of them. One is to prepare, right? Preparation is your best friend. In fact, over-prepare. One thing that I always do is I always present more material than I have allotted for the time, and then I cut it out. I pick the best of the best, and then I leave it in there. But yeah, preparing is one of the best ways. Now, preparing in this sense, I'm talking about researching your topic, writing your notes or your outline. Perhaps you record it. Maybe you talk about the transitions between your major points. But what are the best ways that you can prepare your talk? So these are a few of the ways, and preparation is one. And when it comes to preparation, 90% of the anxiety that you feel comes from lack of preparation. And this is where I land. So I don't have anxiety about speaking. It's the anxiety comes from, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? And how prepared am I going to be? That's where most of this anxiety comes in for people. So for an effective presentation, there's a lot of numbers out there. I just thought these made sense because these actually speak to what percent of information people are able to process. And when we look at that, 7% of what is written or what we see, the content, that's what we process. We're going to remember 7% of that. When it comes to the presentation itself, the voice or what I'm telling you, we're going to probably retain about 38%, but that, 38% of your presentation should be voice related. If you really want to make an impact, it's 55% of it comes from the nonverbal communication or what you're doing on the stage or in front of the camera, believe it or not. So give me an example here. Go ahead and either type it in the chat or come off of mute. What are some nonverbals? What are some nonverbals on the stage, or just nonverbals in general?
Gestures.
What's that?
Gestures, using your hands.
Gestures, yep, you betcha. That's one. Wiggling or fidgeting, yep, Christina, definitely. What else? What other? Smiling as you're talking, Alyssa, definitely. Yeah, having your Zoom camera off. Stillness is one, Cassandra. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Your hands and your eyes telling a story. Yes, Mike. Open body language, right? Is my body open? Am I closed off? Am I facing the audience? Excellent. Great ideas of all of that. And we're going to talk about more of those nonverbals. And Milena, yeah, walking or just standing. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. One of the things is moving with purpose, most definitely. Lisa, arm movement, like you're landing a plane. Excellent. All right. So one other question I have for you, and then we're going to get into a little more of addressing your fear. So when I speak, I prefer to know what I'm going to say. I like to have structure in there. I prefer to wing it, or I prefer to crawl in a corner and pray for a natural disaster. Which one of these best describes you? And while you're voting, Milena, do you recommend any tools or resources about nonverbal communication? I would say for nonverbal, specifically to the stage, look at speaking and nonverbal communication. That's one. I don't have any one in specific. I'm going to give that some thought, but most of what I've gathered over the years has been just some instruction from people, and I've just gathered a bunch of best tips. Yeah, a lot of you like to have that structure, know what you're going to say. Some of you wing it. Yeah, I've been there. When I first started this, I thought I could just wing it. Just give me a topic and I can talk about anything. Well, that's not exactly the case. And I learned that I needed structure. And quite honestly, here's one thing I'd love for you to take away from this. Your audience expects structure. Did you notice how at the beginning I told you we were going to talk about fear, and then we talk about deciding, and then we're going to talk about your purpose, and then I'm going to give you the pro tips. So when you think about it, it's not just for you, it's also because your audience, most of us, no matter what, no matter how much we say we're unstructured, we still prefer, the human brain does prefer some kind of structure when you speak. Excellent, thanks for chiming in. So one of the best ways you can overcome the fear too is to practice. Practice in front of a mirror, practice with your pet, practice alone, record yourself. Here's a tip for recording yourself. When you record yourself, or you're viewing video of when somebody recorded you, go back and watch just the video without the sound and see what kind of movements you're making, if you're pacing across the stage, if you're moving intentionally. That's one way that you can evaluate how you practice. And the other one is just to listen to the audio itself too. Just listen for voice variation, listen for pauses, listen for inflection. Yeah, all of those kinds of things play into how you practice and getting more and more comfortable. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to be. The first time out might not go that well, but with each successive attempt that you go out and do it, you're going to get better and better and better, I promise. And the biggest thing here is to have fun. One other thing that I can tell you is to breathe. I always do a bit of a breathing exercise before I go on stage, especially when I'm in person. It just helps to calm me down. Breathing, and not just, breathe in, breathe out, but really intentional breathing. And many of you have gone through this, breathe in for 4, hold for 3, and let it out for 4. You ready? Let's do it. Ready? Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4. Right? Do that 3 or 4 times. What you're doing is you're releasing the anxiety or any of the emotion that you're feeling. And that's one way to get yourself to a set point. And I'll talk about how I actually pump myself up for speeches as well. All right. Yeah, if you don't breathe, you die. You betcha. You guys are great. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is deciding. And what I'm talking about here is deciding whether or not you want to actually use speaking or be speaking as part of your business. So the one thing that you want to do, look at it, you ask yourself, do I want to speak? It's not for everybody. Just like all those different parts of our business that we talk about, we don't actually do all of it. But we do perhaps might want to use this tool set of speaking. So one thing that I want you to think about now, everybody grab a sheet of paper, and I want to go through a little exercise with you. For those of you who's like, I can't speak, I don't know what to speak about. And for many of you, you do. It could be about your business or what you do. But for those of you who are curious, one thing that I find helps is to write this statement down. Nobody can speak about blank like I can. I'm going to give you 15, 20 seconds to fill in that blank for yourself. Nobody can speak about blank like I can. What is it? What is it that you can speak about better than anybody else? And if you're brave, courageous, and would like to share with us, go ahead and type it in the chat for us. But what can you speak about better than anyone else? I did this for a number of groups. Somebody brought up they're great at public art selection. Another person put they're great at buying and selling antique furniture. All right, here we go. Alyssa, business structure, you bet. JB, productivity. Susie, dirty-minded stuff, fantastic. Nonprofit fundraising. 90s, you got it. 90s NBA, oh, there we go. Christina, supporting challenging children, marketing strategies, right, sponsorship, partnership creation. Excellent. Now, what I want you to do, pretend we're having a conversation, just you and me. We're out for coffee, we're out for a beer, we're out for a little whiskey. What are the top 3 things you would tell me about each one of those things? Okay, Pat, just go with Vegas. Just tell me about Vegas. I know what you do for sponsorship and partnership. Just tell me about Vegas, for crying out loud. What are the top 3 things you want to do? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that. And when you do, go ahead and type in the chat. Go ahead and type in what 2 or 3 things, whatever it is, you would tell me about your one thing. And what I'm creating for you here is an outline to speak, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm creating an outline for you to speak, and I'm having you tap into your passion, right? Cassandra, this is great. Integrative medicine in teens, excellent. About nonprofit fundraising, here it comes, right? What would you want me to know? These are awesome, right? Just think about it. Living in the know, like, trust, perfect, Lisa, right? You got 3 things right there. You see how this works? When we find that passionate thing, when we tune into what we know most about, it becomes easier to speak about it. Christina, yep, kids act in accordance with how they feel. Growing their self-worth will help them show their greatness. Awesome, right? You could speak about that for some time. I love it. Love it. Thank you. Alyssa, importance of a CPA and tax implication structure is key, and documents required. Excellent. You can tell me all about that. So that's what we're looking at when we talk about tapping into deciding whether or not you want to speak or not. Now, with what you have there, be thinking about whether or not you would actually want to turn it into speaking. And the last thing that I would tell you to address your fear is this: visualize yourself succeeding. Visualize it, just close your eyes or whatever it is, just picture yourself succeeding at the end of the talk, during the talk, picture people being engaged, picture people coming up to you after you're asking questions. Visualize what success looks like for you. Next, we'll move into purpose. So with purpose, this is a little different. It's not so much the what, but what is your purpose, but why, right? Why are you getting in front of people? What is it that you have to say that merits getting up in front of folks? Well, I want you to ask yourself these questions about your purpose, right? What do I want my audience to know, think, and feel at the end of our time together? So the first thing would be, what do I want them to know? And what do I want them to think? Do I want them to be challenged? Do I want them to think differently, right? And then lastly, with feeling, How do I want them to feel? Do I want them to feel transformed? Do I want them to feel moved to do something? Do I want them, how do I want them leaving the room? Now, there's debate about different ways that you can work your audience and how you want to make them feel. I generally do not like to leave my audiences feeling uncomfortable, and I don't like to leave them hanging on a thread. Generally, I like there to be some resolution, right? I like to open up the story, we talk, and then I like to close it out. There are some topics that people will just generally feel uncomfortable with, but it depends on your intent. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying these are my preferred practices. But how do you want, what do you want them to know, think, and feel by the time you're done with them? There are times where I will take people down the roller coaster, but then I bring them back up by the time we're done. So think about how you want them to feel when you're done. Awesome. We got empowered, confident, inspired, relieved. Yeah, relieved and hopeful. Excellent. So why do you want or need to be in front of people? What are your reasons? Go ahead and type a couple of the reasons in right now, and I'll throw some up on the screen in a second here. Why do you want to get in front of people? What would be the main reasons for your business? Why do you want to be in front of them? And again, all your answers are great. Mike, share a message, right? Hannah, I hope I'm saying that right. Think that my organization is super effective. Yep. Communicate your message, right? Get to know and trust you. Further the mission. Yep. Alex, educate and share knowledge. Definitely a purpose. To be seen as a leader, to help people. Excellent, excellent answers, everybody. Yeah. So the way that looks, right? We can do it for motivation, tactics, education, takeaways. We could inform, entertain, teach, or market, right? All the things you put in there. Educate and be a subject matter expert, educate and coach, guide people to protect their businesses. Excellent, excellent answers, folks, right? That's why we do it. And as I talked about, one of the reasons that we do that here, right, in small businesses, our businesses, right, we have an opportunity to connect. You have an opportunity to connect to the audience, to you, your message, and your brand and your mission, right? Speaking is an awesome way to do that. And the way that we do it, we use words and ideas and we express ourselves so that people see themselves in our story, right? You can use speaking to make them feel like they're a part of your story. Excellent. Any questions there? Everybody's doing pretty well, it looks like. All right, now I'm going to hit the home stretch, and I promise there'll be time for questions. We'll have some dialogue after, but here's how we make it. Here's how we make it great. I'm going to share a few of my make it great ideas as well as some pro tips. So the first thing I want to ask you, true or false? True or false? You want to capture your audience's attention from the very beginning. True or false? You want to capture your audience attention from the very beginning. Yeah, true or false? Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? We definitely want to capture them from the very beginning. And you're going to see this in just a little bit. Yeah, true is the answer here. We want to get them from the get-go. And not only do I do it from the time you're introduced, but you set it up with an introduction. And I even go before that, right? I do it when people are coming into the room, shaking hands, greeting people, talking to them, getting stories, getting little nuggets that I might be able to use in the program along the way. So yeah, it starts way before you ever get in front of the microphone. So the first thing I'll tell you, be 100% you, be authentic, be real. People can pick up if you're not. Show up as you, people are gonna know. But when you show up as 100% you, we know this, right? People are gonna absorb your message, they're gonna listen, they're gonna look to you to be the expert. You are the expert. And when you're the expert and you know what the heck you're talking about, you stand up there in confidence, people are going to engage. They will definitely engage 100%. One thing you might want to pay attention to is as you're practicing, slow down. If you find yourself in places talking fast, might be that we're not as confident in that space, in that particular part. So think about how I can speak with confidence in that one area and slow down. I know there are times we get excited. Totally get that. Pay attention to when you have an opportunity to slow down and speak with that confidence. And it is always great just to pause. You can pause for 3 seconds. feels like a lifetime when you're up there, but it's only 3 seconds. It's okay. Use the power of the pause too. Now make eye contact. So how do I make eye contact with 50, 100, or 300 people, you're going to ask? Well, good question. I'd be happy to tell you. The way that I do it is I scan the room. I look left, I look center, and I look right. I look center again, I look right, I look left. I'm looking for somebody to make eye contact with. And when I see that person, sometimes it's someone who's nodding, someone who is paying attention. Sometimes I don't get to see anybody there, but I'm still looking that way. And when you look specifically in the direction in an auditorium or a room, people will think that you are looking straight at them, even if you are just looking at one person beyond them. So scan the room, left, right, center. Always try to find someone. The bigger the room, the more spread out, the more points you might want to make. You might want to make it 4 or 5 points, but always make eye contact. Now, when you're doing remote talks, the thing that you want to do is be sure that you're looking at the camera as much as you can. If people are paying attention to you and your picture or your video is up on the screen, make sure that you're looking in the camera. Position the camera so that you're looking right at it as much as you can. So the other thing we can do is share stories. People relate to our stories. Get your audience to see themselves in your story, or at least be there with you. I'll give you an example. When I was in 7th grade, we moved from upstate New York to Atlanta, Georgia. So upstate New York, rural Wisconsin. Now I'm going to the big city. Well, New York to Atlanta, well, that's exactly what you do with a 12-year-old Jewish kid who's known nothing but New York all his life, right? You move him to the deep South. That makes sense, doesn't it? Well, I will never forget my first day of 7th grade in my new school. I walk up to the classroom door and the teacher looks at me and says, "Y'all come in now." And I look behind me, right? Because I think y'all is a plural pronoun. Apparently I'm mistaken, right? It's only me. Well, she introduces herself and she says, "I'm Miss Strayet." And I kid you not, it's spelled S-T-R-A-I-T. Most of us in the Midwest might say straight. So here I am learning English, as another language. So of course, me from New York, "How you doing? My name's Roger." And the next thing I hear is a lot of laughter from the room, right? You see, I didn't look like them, I didn't sound like them, and I certainly didn't act like them. It was at that moment that I realized I was going to have to call on every ounce of my adaptability to fit in. I can tell you that was probably one of the hardest days of my life, and I survived it. And I survived it because I was able to tap into my ability to make friends, fit in, and learn. So right there, what I'm trying to tell you is a story about adaptability, and I might use that story of adaptability any number of ways. So tell a story. Maybe it resonated with you, maybe it didn't, but what are the stories that you can tell that might resonate with your groups? The other thing you want to do is engaging people with all of your senses, as many of the senses as possible, right? How do you do that? Well, I'm doing a few of the examples here tonight, right? You can do that by keeping them engaged in the chat. I'm having you write things. I'm using online polls. I'm asking questions, which some of you came off already and said something in person. I got you to get up and move your arms around. Have people engage in reflection and discussion, whether you're in person or in the chat, definitely. The other thing that you want to think about, another tip, is to use the stage and move on purpose and intentionally. There are a number of us, believe me, when I started this, it would have been better off if you just nailed my shoe to the ground, because I would just pace. I would pace left, I would pace right. I would just wander all over because I had this nervous energy. As you speak more and more, it makes more sense to stand in one place. People will pay attention to you when you're centered and when you're standing tall. If you're going to move with purpose. Now tonight I'm talking a lot with my hands. I typically do. To me, that's normal. To others, it might be distracting, but think about how you're using your voice, your arms, and your hands, and the inflection. Somebody told me once. They said, "Roger, you have a big voice, and you should have a big body to go with it." Now, could I be offended by that? Yeah. But what they meant was, people hear this big voice and they're expecting you to make grand gestures, right? So if I'm up on stage and I'm kind of meek and my voice is projecting and all that. It's my actions and my nonverbal is not matching up with my voice. So find your voice, find the actions that work for you. And now I'm going into pro tips. I'm going to go through these. I will send the presentation to Pat and Susie. We can get this up on the Idea Collective or out to you or out to the email list, or you can let me know if you want the presentation. But here are some of my pro tips. One day before you're about to give a big program, hydrate. Always hydrate, because you're gonna lose a lot of water. And when you hydrate ahead of time, your body is ready for the demands that you're going to place on it when you go on stage. The other thing is rest. Always rest. And I always say, if it was a choice between resting or staying up until the crack of dawn to put those last PowerPoint slides together, I'd say get the rest. You're going to be much better off in front of a group of people. A couple of other things that I do: I show up early. For me, that's 60 to 90 minutes ahead of time. I like to get comfortable in the space. I like to walk around, make sure I know what's going on. I also like to check all of the equipment, because chances are something will go wrong. But if you have 60 to 90 minutes to fix it, there's a better chance of getting something fixed if you do that. I listen to motivating music when I before I go on. I've got a little playlist, gets me pumped. Definitely collect yourself, look at your wardrobe, look at your appearance, make sure everything you look good, everything's in place. I have a funny story for that after we're done. Make sure you, if the situation calls for it, smile. I saw a couple of people said smile. And I like to high five someone. I really do. Whether it's in the audience or, mostly, it's the audience members, I'll high five them. If we're engaging in something and talking, or before I come on stage, I high five someone. Just really puts me in a good mood. The other thing you can do, as I said, before the event starts, I like to greet people as they arrive. I use their first name if I can, especially if I see it on their on a name tag. And I walk up to them when it's appropriate, if they're taking a break, and I definitely introduce myself. And the way that I do that is I will always walk up to somebody and I will say, "Hi, I'm Roger." And I'll also do that in the middle of a program if somebody has volunteered and I don't remember their name. After they've made a comment, I say, "Hi, I'm Roger." And then I thank them. I say, "Thank you, JB. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Pat, for commenting. I appreciate your comment." I make small talk. I'm definitely quiet, and I listen for those stories that might come up that I could use in the program. It's a great time to make connections, and that's where I get comfortable soaking in the energy of the room, because that's where I get my energy when I'm in front of someone. Those are my pro tips. I would like to also send you 5 ways to motivate yourself for your next speech. I typically sell a lot of this stuff on my website for $29, or when I send you a text, no. This is the Idea Collective. We're here to share. So you can use that QR code, and that will take you to one of my surveys. And the only thing I'm looking for is your email and your name, if you'd like to sign up for my email list. And what I'll do is I will send you 5 ways to motivate yourself for your next speech. I don't sell names on my list, I promise, but that QR code will get you there. If the QR code doesn't work for you, you can use the bit.ly link, and the bit.ly tag is IC Night School. I'll pop that back up in just a second. I'm in the home stretch here. I just wanted to say one thing, and that is, what is one thing that you're going to do differently tonight out of the result of our time together at night school? Could be anything, could be an idea that popped into your head that had nothing to do with what I talked about. But what's one small step? And write it down. This is me. This is all my digits. If you look for my name on the internet, I promise you I'm the only one there. You're going to find me on LinkedIn or Facebook somehow. And I'd love to connect with you. You got my phone number up there too. If you want it, I will also share that with you. That's pretty much it. Here's the information for the 5 ways to motivate yourself for your next speech. I wish you much success in becoming a better speaker. Thank you.
It was awesome, Roger. Awesome. Round of applause for Roger. Way to go, buddy. Brilliant stuff. Hearing you speak and drop all of that knowledge just automatically made me think of more questions. So I got some follow-ups for you. You talk about the importance of being yourself. And a lot of that comes from self-confidence and knowing that I'm worth it to be up on stage and I have something to share.
Right.
But if you don't do it very often, you might not feel like you're ready to be on the stage. You don't see yourself as a speaker. You might feel like you have to act like not yourself. So how do you align those two where you step into your true personality, but feel like you're ready to be on stage?
Yeah, it comes with a lot of practice. And I'll share with you that I was not showing up as my authentic self when I started. I was being somebody else. And it took me a while, a little bit of self-exploration and self-awareness to realize what were the messages that I really wanted to put out there. I would say continue to practice, and do it. Get a group. Here's the last thing I'll tell you. Find a group of trusted friends to give you honest feedback. It wasn't until 2 or 3 of my close colleagues and friends at the time said, "Roger, you're not showing up as you." And I believed them. I said, "You're right. I'm not showing up as me. I'm not sharing what I care about." And they challenged me to do better, be better. So I would say just continue to go at it, and surround yourself with people who are going to give you some honest, good feedback.
Yeah, that sounds like an Idea Collective thing, like having a workshop where people could come and perform and get some feedback on how they do.
Right.
Brilliant. Okay, so how do you improve without feeling like you're beating yourself up, like you're being too judgmental and too picky? Do you ever feel that way?
Never. I came out of the womb feeling this way. Are you kidding? It's really tough because we can get those negative thoughts in our head where, I'm not good enough at this. Why am I doing this? That who am I to speak about this? That's a good indication to really figure out, should I be doing this or not? I think one of the best steps you can take is to, again, work with someone, and the thing that comes to mind is working with someone who can help you reframe your negative self-talk. That was one thing that did it for me. I found myself saying things that I didn't think were self-sabotaging, but when someone said them back to me, I realized why was I saying these things to myself? Because there was no way in hell I would be saying them to anybody else. So again, working with someone who can help you reframe that would be my suggestion.
All right. I have 2 more questions. If anybody else has a question, drop it in the chat and I'll call on you, and you can get in touch with Roger here, because this is really good stuff if you want to be a speaker, and Roger's a total pro. Any tips about collecting stories, things that may happen to us and we don't really pay attention to, but it could make a great little piece that we put on stage?
Man, I was frustrated with this when I started. I'm like, well, I don't have any stories. What are my stories? My stories suck. Tips. Even if you think it's nothing, it probably is something. A couple of ideas. You can go old school, carry around a notepad, and write down something that you see that is funny or humorous or is significant. Sit down. Think of where you're most creative when a story pops into your head, and write them down. Use an app in your phone. For a while, I was recording or dictating into Evernote. I know Otter AI and a bunch of other programs, where you can do dictation, really work well for that. Where are your stories? I would say this is an exercise somebody had me do at one time. Go back to your earliest memories from childhood and start going forward, and do that several times. Not in one sitting, but you'd be amazed at how many times things come up when you're prompted with a trigger. Some of them are negative, some of them are positive. But I know when I hear something on the radio, like a rant, like if I think I'm going to do a rant, definitely. Susie, yeah, we no kidding. Sometimes in the shower, is a place to do that. And I kid you not, they may actually make, the crayons you can write on in the tub. Get yourself a set of those and write on the tile, if you're doing that in the shower. Yeah, I would just say record them. And the geek in me wanted to create a database of stories. But what I did was I just started creating a collection point in Evernote. You can do it in OneNote or any other note-taking app, and then just write out the main ideas of your story.
Best place to think is the shower. There is no doubt about that. That
Right?
is the best.
Right.
All right. We have a question from the audience. Elisa, go ahead.
So sometimes when you're speaking to an audience, if you are who you are and you're authentic, you can just feel that they're not feeling you or you're not feeling them. How are you supposed to go from that point when there's that sudden realization, they're not getting me and I'm not getting them, and you can't just turn around and walk away?
No, you can't. You continue. You just plow through, okay? Because I've done that, right? And there are times, Elisa, when I've known that an audience is not my audience, okay? And it's a hard feeling when there's 200 people there, and you're like, "Whoo, these are not my people." I'll tell you what it was. I tested out the student market, and I realized I am not a speaker for high school students, right? It just wasn't for me. These kids weren't getting my lesson or the way that I was speaking to them. So I just plowed through it. And I took that as a data point. I took that as a learning point to say, okay, I'm going to go through this and I'm going to realize that these are not my people. The other thing I'll tell you is this: anytime that I go into a talk, I realize here's the way that somebody framed it up for me. One was 20% of people are going to be there to hear me. You know, they're going to love it. They love the topic. Ooh, emotional intelligence. Can't wait. 20% of the people are going to be like, what the hell is this? Forget it. I got to be here. The boss says I got to be here. Oh, great. Lovely. Who the hell is this guy? And then the remaining 60%, I can do, they're mine, right? Then I can convince them one way or the other, whether or not they want to be there. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had people say, oh man, I was just here for the credits or the professional development units or whatever. I thought this was going to suck, but you don't suck. You know, I'm like, you're welcome. You know, thank you very much. And they were like, yeah, man, I like this. So you have an opportunity to do it. But there are those times when we're finding out who our audiences are, that the best thing that we can take away is that they're not my people. Move on.
Great question, Elisa. Carmel, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any way to ahead of time determine whether a certain group is going to be your kind of people. Like if there's questions you can ask for the event organizer or anything like that.
Great, Carmel. Yeah, two things that come to mind. One, I do all the time. I always set up about 4 to 6 weeks ahead of time. I schedule a 45-minute overview with the meeting planner or the person who hired me, and I have a set of questions, and I send them the questions, and I tell them they can fill them out ahead of time. But we're still going to talk because I want to get the feel of what's going on, and I want to hear what's going on in their minds. I ask some of the same questions in different ways, but I say, what struggles is this group having? What are the major challenges they've been through? What did you like about your last speaker? If you could look into a crystal ball, what do the next 3 years look like for this group? By the time I'm done with this group, what do you want them to feel? How should they leave how are you going to judge or how are you going to evaluate our time together? So I ask a series of questions ahead of time. The other thing that I'd like to do, and I haven't done it yet, is I would love to get like the attendee list and send out a questionnaire ahead of time, survey them ahead of time.
Great question. Susie, you had one?
Yeah. So do you normally start out with a joke to lighten the mood, or is it not important to have that?
I think jokes are an abomination, Susie. I think we should just do away with them. I think, you know, this speaking stuff is freaking serious. So I judge the room, right? You know, we judge the room. I like to have some fun. I like to let them know that this is the way this is going to be. This is my personality. This is why you hire me. You know, like the recovering project manager, or I joke around. That's why I put up the 3 pictures up front so you can get to know me a little better and joke around. But yeah, I mean, an appropriate joke I think is great because laughter is such a great connection point. And I tell people up front, one of the things I ask, Carmel, you know, how much humor is appropriate, you know, and I always tell them it's going to be PG. It is definitely going to be PG. And I know many of you know me from our interactions here. Believe it or not, I can keep it PG. And I do that when I'm out there. But yeah, jokes I think are totally appropriate.
Great questions.
At the beginning.
Yeah, to get that attention up front. Great questions. I just want to say thank you, Roger, for such a terrific presentation. This is what night school is truly about. All of the effort that you put into it, all of the questions that people gave you, you were ready for. If every one of our night schools could be this good, I would be blessed. So president of the Wisconsin chapter of the National Speakers Association, pillar, should I say upstanding member of the IDEA Collective community, Roger Wolkoff. Thank you, pal. We appreciate it.
My pleasure to be with you all. Thanks for having me tonight.
Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's IDEA Collective Night School presented by Bank 59 and Quick Trip. This is an example of what we do inside the IDEA Collective. Would you believe we do shows like this almost every single day. Brainstorming events, marketing, mindset, business operations, small business celebrations, the 24/7 marketing message board rather, and more. We invite new members into the community on the first of every month. And our new month starts on June 1st, of course. So you can learn all about what we do at ideacollectiveincubator.com. That's ideacollectiveincubator.com. It's risk-free with a 2-week free trial. And if you hate it after the first month, I'll give you your money back because come on, be a good guy, right? Would love to have you check it out and join us because we're having a lot of fun and we'd love to have you be a part of it. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Thank you for joining us for Idea Collective Night School. We'll see you next time.
All right, I think everybody is back. Looks like it. Okay. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to work on your plan for next quarter. For how many of you was this a new experience, taking time to plan ahead and looking at your goals before you get started on the time frame? For who was this a new effort? Jen says yes, thank you. Anybody else, was this new? And okay, how bad was it for those of you that this is your first time? As painful as we thought? John Taylor, where are we at? It's not as smooth as we had hoped.
Getting there.
So getting there takes time. It's practice. So I'm glad that you all did it. We're going to do a report out in a minute, but before we do that, we really want to make sure that we give you something special. We really want to thank Pat and the Idea Collective Incubator for bringing us together and sponsoring this. It's been huge. It's been great. We don't want it to end, so we're not going to let it end. So we're going to give you a special offer. We want to give you, everybody here gets laser coaching from us. All right, everybody here gets one-on-one time with Darren or me. All you got to do is schedule it. So I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. It's really easy. And literally, we're going to take a minute right now. And you're going to go do this. So please click that link and choose your time. We want to make sure that you get time to talk about your priority goal for the next quarter. We want to go over your spearhead with you, make sure the plan is solid, and make sure that you are on the path to success. And as Darren likes to say, if the plan doesn't work, then at least you can blame us. So make sure that you get time with us. This is our special offer to you. Everybody gets this. I'm going to literally watch my inbox as this stuff starts rolling in. Right now, please go schedule time. Go. Crash our server. Actually, I can watch this roll in. I'm going to do that right now. Thanks, Brent. Love it. All right, thank you. It's rolling in. This is great, everybody. We really appreciate it. We want to make sure that we support you in any way that we can. Obviously, this is the least we can do, and we want to make sure that you are really set up for success next quarter or this coming quarter. So, Darren, anything you want to add to that?
No, sir. Looking good.
Good. All right. Thanks, everybody.
I'm getting roll-ins.
Oh, wait, this one. Working. Like it when it works. All right. Very nice. Let's see. So let's do that reporting out part. We want to make sure that we are sharing those spearheads so we get to advance, celebrate with you when you crush it. So and we are expecting everybody. So you can unmute, you can drop in the chat. Either way, let's share those big goals for quarter two. Who's ready to go first? Thank you, Roger Wolkoff. Go for it.
So I'm reading across the top, the 4 goals.
Yep. Number one, upper left corner. So just what's your number one priority for the quarter?
Just the number one?
Just the number one. Just the number one.
Customer acquisition. My goal is 50K. Book 12 disc sessions at 3,500, and then additional revenue would be adding the assessments in there as well.
Nice. I like it. Good goal, Roger. Thank you very much. Who's next? Lynn Karazi.
Yeah, biggest ones, secure 3 new clients for a total of 45,000 in sales.
Right. 3 clients, 45K. I like it, Lynn. Nice and tight. Very nice. Who's next? Good for hand. Susie Moon.
My goal is to finish the cultivating sales certification by the first month.
Oh, good. So that's a 30-day goal.
Yeah.
And when you have that certification, how are you going to use it in the rest of the quarter? How's that going to help you?
It's part of my customer acquisition. I'll be listed on Melissa's website as a certified user, and
Nice.
It'll get out to more people. Yeah.
That's great. Love it. Thank you, Susie. Sounds good. I see Becky dropped in the chat. Spend time working with customers and products that equates to $180 a day. I love that you're down to that micro level. Do the math. I think that's really great. So you're really focused on the daily level behaviors that gets you to your daily goal and multiply that out for the quarter. Is that about right? Christy nods. Okay, great. Thank you, Becky. Appreciate it. Who's next? We're advanced celebrating. Christine's that ready? Go for it. Oh, you're on mute. Christine, you're on mute. Christine, you're on mute. I'm sure it's lovely.
I was just seeing if you guys could read lips. So my goal is directly related to my revenue, and that is essentially to improve my lead to what we call IC, which is initial consultation conversion, to 40%, which is 5% over the average for the system. We're at 10% right now.
Okay. I like that goal then. What's the number one thing you need to do to make that a reality?
I think a lot of it has to do with better targeted marketing, as well as improved training for my staff, my coaches, who are the ones that make the calls and send the messages to get these consultations scheduled.
Got it. So you're recognizing the behaviors that lead to that result, and you're gonna put in the time to develop the people.
Absolutely.
Good plan. Good plan, Christine. Thank you so much. Let's see who was in the room that I was talking with. Taryn. It was complex, which I think is good because it's not always so straightforward, right? Where did you land as far as your spearhead goes for Q2?
Still on the revenue goal. Company 1, 39.5, company 2. I actually still am working those numbers because as I went through your exercise and my profit map that's already in place, I should surpass what I originally had written down. So that's good. Now I just have to figure out how I can realize growth and make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. Great exercise.
You're welcome. I'm glad to help.
But I have an off question for you that I'll ask when I get my 15 minutes. Thank you guys for doing that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Looking forward to it with you. I'm going to call on Sarah Deacon because I know she's been working on this. I see it's a focus face. Am I reading the face right? That's I think I got this.
Well, I feel like I kind of understand it, and I'm starting at 0, so it's kind of tricky. So yeah, that's, the goal that I have for the year is 30K, but because I'm starting at 0, I'm trying to break it down. I'm like, well, there's 3 quarters left of the year. So is it 10K, but I'm still building momentum. So it'd probably be 5K for the quarter.
I was going to say that is a lower the bar moment, right? So I'm starting from 0. Let me be honest. 5K. So when we broke that down earlier, can you divide that back to say, how many clients do I need to get there?
Yeah.
You got that. Awesome. Sarah, I think 5K is a great goal. And I said this in one of the rooms I was in. Everybody's numbers are different. Everybody's running a different business. I was in one room and we were talking in the millions, and another, and thousands in the exact same conversation. Where you are is where you are. You're playing the house, not each other. So what do you need to get done to take care of you and your business? Where you are is where you are, and where you're trying to go is always going to be unique to you. So thanks, Sarah, for owning that and being open with us on it. Anybody else on spearheads? I really want to hear them because we really want to, like I said, Brent, I think I saw a half a hand. Like maybe I should. Yeah. Okay. Come on in, bud.
It's a half loss, and I should only do half a head. I get incremental $10,000 revenue, so I have stuff in the pipeline, but I'm not targeting that. So, and that's really focused around either or both landing additional sponsorships or selling workshops that I can convert within the quarter, which is generally a tight turnaround, but let's get her done.
I love that optimism. Thanks, Brent. You got a plan to get there. Alex, I see the hand up, virtual hand. Come on in. What do you got?
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Just stop me when I start saying too much. So I have it planned out that our monthly revenue would be 15K a month.
Okay.
We're implementing, so in order to get that consistently, we've surpassed that in the past, but we want to, from what we've learned last year, we didn't want to burn ourselves out, and we didn't necessarily want to hire a bunch of employees. So this is kind of the number that makes us happy, where we don't kill ourselves. So one of the things I learned about that is we're going to be automating our marketing. We're putting our strategic partnerships in place. So we have about 3 or 4 of those, and we want to have our projects booked out 3 months in advance max, nothing too far ahead, so that we lose contact with our clients as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely ranging into other areas, which is fine because I see how that all fits together. So the ultimate revenue measurement points to what?
Consistently 15K a month. That's
15K a month. So we're at 45K for the quarter.
Sure.
I think I did that math right. Somebody check me. 15 times 3. Yep. Okay, good. So 45K for the quarter. And the reason we do quarters, folks, is you need to be able to account for fluctuations, right? So it's sales pipelines, all those other things. So Alex, nice job. How do you distribute number of referrals as top objective for a spearhead? Okay, hold on. Good. I love a challenge. Thank you, Taryn. How do you view a specific number of referrals as a top objective for a spearhead that is the revenue? So clients is butts and seats, most efficient way to get those as referrals. Some see that as a result rather than an objective. Okay, I'm going to bounce this one to Darren. Darren, are referrals a result or an objective to reach the goal?
Okay, so you can set them as your objective is to get this many, but you're going to do activities and see as a result of the activities you take, do they get the result that you want? So for example, let's say I wanted 100 new referrals. I can't really make people refer them, but what I can say is I'm going to, part of my campaign to increase those referrals is I'm going to let people know we actually have a referral program, or I'm going to do some type of incentive thing. Then I do those things and they lead to then the result to see, do I actually get the number of referrals that I wanted, or is there an increase or a measurement? And if it is, then great, then I keep doing that. If not, then I'll say, okay, I need to take some different actions to be able to get there. Does that make sense? Okay.
Lisa said, what can you influence and what can you control? That's mostly a philosophical question, but the way we look at it is this. In the grand scheme of things, there's only about 2% that you can control. Now that's not much, but it's enough if you can figure out what's in the 2%. What you can control ultimately is your inputs and your behaviors. And if you can do that, then you have to let the results be the results. It's identifying what can I control and did I control that? When we go to success and failure, if I identify what I could control and I controlled it, success. Where the result comes out is where the result comes out. And we realigned that behavior didn't lead to the right result. Let me try something differently. But if I controlled and I did what I said I was going to do, then you've done it. You've done the first part right. And there's only and the results are the results. Great questions, everybody. I see Ariel and John with hands up. Let's go there. And then we'll do a chat storm on the way out. So Ariel, what do you got for Spearhead?
I'm just doing audio because I'm driving, but tied to Taryn's comment, my Spearhead is to increase the recurring revenue of my coaching revenue by just over 20%. And so the metrics to do that is to get 5 new clients amongst 2 different programs. And Mike, I'll give you credit for telling me to always use the word program. So I need 25, I'm assuming 25 referrals in order to do that. And therefore my metric is to set 10 dedicated prospecting meetings with active and or former clients to get those 25 referrals by April 21st.
Nice. Nice and tight, really measurable, lots in your control. Well done, Ariel. Nicely done. Thank you so much for sharing that one.
I did have
Absolutely.
prior to this, so it wasn't all done today. This helped me to solidify it. And during this planning time, I reached out to 2 people about setting those CPMs. So thank you for that.
So like you literally started working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, nice job. Bonus points for that. Thanks, Ariel. All right, John Taylor, what do you got?
So I had a money number goal written down in my Spearhead, and then I just scribbled it out with great detail. And I put, after talking with Darren in the breakout, so we have a process of what we do, and my new goal is to have that process happen from start to finish completely autonomously, and then the financial goal will happen because I'll have the time to hit the financial goal. And to be honest with you, the financial goal is, I feel is like maybe a little easy, but it's June, it's summer, it's slow. You know, I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking.
If you crush the goal early, you do get to celebrate early. That you know, if you can take a couple days in June, take your Fridays off. Darren's got a summer schedule. He's earned it, right? I'm working to get there. I love it, John. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, folks, here's the last part, and this is where everybody can participate. I'm calling this a chat storm, which means let's fill up the chat with your answers to the last question, which is, what's your number one takeaway from today, and how does your plan reflect what you learned today? How did that loyalty model help you get clarity on your plan? So what's your takeaway? How are you using it? Let's fill up the chat with those answers, because I know that that's going to be really encouraging for everybody here to see all the great ideas that you have and what you're going to be doing with them. So fill up the chat. I'll give you a minute to do that. It's great. These are great. Susie's going to focus on being likable. Area of opportunity. I get it. Pat said there's clarity of the 90-day, knowing then and thinking towards the end of June and getting that as a deadline. Brent's appreciating the idea of focusing on one measurable outcome and then coaching towards it. I like Lynn's pre-engagement and post-engagement review. There's your metrics before and after showing progress. Sarah's putting it on the calendar. Roger's at the 30, 60, 90 checkup. Planning in quarters from Ariel. John is also going to focus on being likable. Very nice. Or are you saying that Susie also needs to focus on being likable? I'll make sure I'm understanding that right. Reach out to past customers, get them to raving fans for testimonials. Awesome. Lisa, I think you signed up with me for coaching. I've got an idea to help you with that as well for testimonials. This is really good stuff, everybody. One last request from us. Again, we asked you to please sign up for coaching. If you haven't already, please do that. Also, we want to just get your feedback and let us know how we can do this better next time. We're all about continuous improvement as well. Let us know if we were likable or not, whether we helped you achieve, whether we pointed you towards results, and whether you trust us and want to engage with us again in the future. So please fill out the survey. Drop the survey link in the chat as well. Please sign up for coaching with us. We want to help you and go crush that Q2 goal with loyalty. Thank you, everybody, for participating and being super engaged with us today in the inaugural Apex, the Idea Collective Small Business Incubator. Pat, thank you so much for having us. It was a treasure, a treat, and a pleasure.
It was great. I really appreciate you bringing the content to us. And I think that's what we have to find out now. We need to get the feedback to Michael and Darren and let them know, did you value this? Would you like them to do it again? And definitely take advantage of their offer to get together and do some laser coaching. So they won't hear us because all of us are on mute, but I think a round of applause is in order for the gentlemen for their education today. We really, really appreciate it. So we'll look for your feedback. Make sure you let them know what you thought and get engaged with them on those laser calls so you can improve your second quarter plan. And if all goes well, maybe they'll come back and do it again for us to get ready for Q3. Thanks again to Darren and Michael and to Spirity for teaching us today. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach, founder of the Idea Collective. Thanks for coming. And now let's go crush Q2 together.